In New York City, I meet a brilliant 28-year-old woman who's just as tired of complicated dating as I am. We make a friends with benefits deal with strict rules. No jealousy, no sleepovers, no feelings. It sounds perfect, like a modern solution for two busy people. But as we keep spending time together, at rooftop bars, late-night diners, and quiet mornings, our simple plan starts to feel less simple. Friends notice. Lines blur. And when real life hits with career pressure and fear of getting hurt, one heated argument threatens to destroy everything we built. Chapter 1. The deal in the city that never stops. New York has a way of making you feel surrounded and alone at the same time. I was 30, good job, decent apartment, and a calendar that looked like a battlefield. Dating felt like another task I kept failing. Too many expectations. Too many mixed signals. Too many nights where a great time ended with someone asking what we were. That's the night I met her at a rooftop bar, thanks to my friend who never lets me say no to going out. She was 28, sharp and funny, dressed like she belonged in every room she walked into. We started talking the way strangers do when they're both pretending they're fine being single. I expected small talk. Instead, we got honest fast. She told me she was done with dramatic relationships. I told her I was tired of guessing games. We laughed about the same dating cliches, the same fake confidence people wear like perfume. Later, outside the bar, the air was cold and the streetlight made everything look like a movie scene. She looked at me like she was measuring the risk. "I don't want a boyfriend," she said. "I don't want a girlfriend," I answered, surprised by how true it felt. Silence sat between us, not awkward, tempting. She lifted her chin. "So, what do you want?" And I said the thing I didn't know I had been wanting. Something simple. That's how the idea started. Friends with benefits. No promises. No drama. No heartbreak. Chapter 2. Rules, Boundaries, and the First Cracks. A week later we sat on my couch like two people negotiating a business contract, except there was a bowl of popcorn and a playlist quietly running in the background. She grabbed a notebook and wrote rules across the top. No sleepovers, no meeting the parents, no jealousy, no catching feelings. Always be honest. We shook on it like adults who believed they could control chemistry with handwriting. Tea first, it worked. We went out as friends, texted memes, and met up when we both wanted more. The next morning, she'd throw on her coat and leave with a casual smile that said, "See? Easy." But easy never stays easy. One morning I made coffee and she walked into my kitchen wearing one of my button-up shirts like it was nothing. She looked comfortable. Too comfortable. For a second, my apartment didn't feel like my place. It felt like ours. I joked about it to hide the thought. She smiled, but her eyes stayed on me a beat too long. In the park one afternoon we ate takeout and laughed until I forgot to check my phone. When her shoulder bumped mine, my chest tightened like I'd run too fast. That night, she stood at my doorway with her keys in her hand. The rule said she had to go home. She hesitated, and I didn't know whether to be relieved or disappointed when she finally stepped into the hallway. "See you later," she said. "Yeah," I answered, like it didn't matter. But after the door closed, the silence felt louder than it should have. Chapter 3. Jealousy is a feeling, not a choice. The first time jealousy showed up, it didn't announce itself. It slipped in wearing logic. We were at a group dinner with friends, and my buddy teased me about finally settling down. I laughed it off. She did too. But when she smiled at another guy across the table, something in me pulled tight. Later, outside the restaurant, she chatted with someone like it was harmless. I told myself it was harmless. Then my other friend, her friend, leaned close to me and said, "Careful. You're looking at her like you want more than your rules allow." I snapped back, "It's not like that." But my voice didn't sound convincing. On the subway platform later, the city wind cut through us as we waited for the train. She caught me staring and tilted her head. "What's going on with you?" "Nothing," I said too fast. She crossed her arms. "You're acting weird. If you're seeing someone else, just say it." "I'm not," I said. Are you? Her eyes flashed. We didn't make a rule about that, remember? The train roared past and shook the platform, and it felt like it shook our agreement too. Back at my building, she walked ahead of me down the hallway. I reached out without thinking, then stopped myself. The rules told me to let her go. She turned at her door. This was supposed to be simple. It is, I lied. She nodded like she didn't believe me, then disappeared inside. I went to my apartment and sat on the couch staring at my phone, wanting to text her, terrified of what I'd say if I did. Chapter 4. When just friends starts to feel like home. Time has a way of building a relationship while you're busy pretending you don't have one. We ran into each other during a morning jog, and neither of us acted surprised, even though we both were. We slowed down and walked together like it was normal. Like we belonged in the same routine. In a bookstore, I grabbed a romance novel and teased her about the dramatic cover. She laughed, then went quiet like she was thinking of something she didn't want to say. In the office elevator one evening, mirrored walls trapped us with our reflections. My tie was loose, her posture was perfect, and the silence between us was crowded with words. I wanted to ask if she was okay. I wanted to ask if I was okay. Instead, I asked, "Dinner?" She said yes, softer than usual. Later, in her kitchen, she cooked something simple while I watched from the doorway. It wasn't sexy or wild or rule-breaking. It was just peaceful. And that scared me more than anything else, because peace is the first thing you miss when it's gone. On her balcony, city lights flickered like distant stars. The air was cold, so I offered my jacket. She took it and held it close, that we leaned toward each other, close enough to feel the warmth of breath. It would have been easy to kiss her, but we both stopped, because a kiss like that wouldn't be casual. Chapter 5. The argument that changes everything. Real life doesn't care about your rules. One afternoon I saw her rushing down the office hallway with folders in her arms, face tight with stress. When I caught up, she tried to smile, but it didn't reach her eyes. In a quiet corner office, she showed me an email on her laptop, a job offer. A serious one. The kind that could change everything. I should have been supportive right away. I should have asked what she wanted. Instead, fear talked first. "So you're just going to leave?" I said. Her eyes hardened. "Don't do that." "Do what?" "Act like you get a vote," she said. "You wanted simple, remember?" The words hit harder than they should have. Because they were true. And because they weren't. That night it poured rain outside the building. I stood under an umbrella trying to keep my voice calm, trying not to sound desperate. "You can't just walk away," I said. She shook her head, rain catching in her hair. "We were never supposed to be anything you could walk away from." I followed her home, and the worst part was how quiet it got. Suitcases appeared on the floor like proof that time was running out. She packed with fast hands, like if she slowed down she might break. On my coffee table, the rules notebook sat open. I tore out the page before I could stop myself. She looked at the torn paper, then at me. "You don't get to change the rules because you're scared. And you don't get to pretend you feel nothing," I shot back. The room filled with the kind of silence that comes right before a goodbye. Chapter 6. No more rules. I didn't sleep. I replayed every moment, every joke, every almost kiss, every time I wanted to say more but hid behind our agreement. In the morning, I found out she was leaving sooner than I thought. New York train stations have their own kind of heartbreak. Crowds moving forward while your world stands still. I ran through the concourse, coat open, breathing hard, pushing past people who had no idea what I was about to lose. I spotted her ahead with a suitcase, walking like she'd already made peace with the decision. Panic rose in my throat. I called her name. She turned, surprised, eyes scanning my face like she was trying to figure out if this was real. I stopped a few feet away, catching my breath. My hands shook, not from the cold. "I tried to do simple," I said. "I really did." Her expression flickered, guarded but hurting. "I'm not good at this," I admitted. "I thought rules would keep me safe. But all they did was keep me quiet." People moved around us, announcements echoed, and still it felt like we were the only two there. "I don't want to be your convenient option," she said, voice tight. "I want to be chosen." I nodded, swallowing the fear. "Then let me choose you the right way." For a long second, she didn't answer. She just held my gaze like the truth was heavy and she was deciding whether to carry it with me. Later, back in an apartment warmed by lamplight, I brought 2 mugs to the couch. We sat close, not touching at first, like we were learning a new language. When our hands finally found each other, it didn't feel like breaking a rule. It felt like coming home. If you enjoyed this modern romance story, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next one. Activate notifications so you'll know the moment a new story drops. Give this video a like, comment what you think should happen next, and share it with someone who loves romantic comedies and emotional love stories.